15 degrees, you can see your breath. Out here in the lake effect, breaking tables like it's poetry. Where else would you rather be? Pinto on Elvis in the lay poncho. The members that you need to know. Cause once you out here now, your family. Where else would you rather be? Where else would you rather be?
Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Crippen. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker and StreamYard. We're so glad that you're joining us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud.
It's a vibe so ridiculous. Since 12 plus 83 was 6. The shout rocking like a symphony. Where else would you rather be?
All right, let's get straight to it. Little Nickel City Crew after dark, if you will. I'm really excited for tonight's episode, to be honest. And it's interesting and it's funny because I was on Twitter earlier in the week after the Bills dominating win that we'll get ready to talk about. And I was just looking around the conference and I'm like, man, things are kind of looking a little bit rosy. Things are kind of looking a little bit different. Joining me tonight, riding shotgun as always, my co-host, Adam Dump Truck Rupsick. Check him out on Instagram and Twitter. You see the handle at Adam Rupsick, RUPCZYK. Holla at the crew, DT. A little bit. 2-0 feels good. 2-0 feels way better than 1-1. And after Sunday slate of games, I'm feeling pretty good, DT. What's up?
Good evening, Nickel City. What's happening, Rob? Good to be back at you. I mean, a week with a game directly after we get off Nickel City Crew last week, and then we had the weekend to relax and see the competition. 2-0, stacking wins. Where else would you rather be?
I love it. Yeah, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else than right here, right now, for sure. And I'm really excited for tonight's episode because I wanted to chop a couple things up with you, DT, and get your opinions on just the AFC and how it's looking and different things like that. Now, before we get to that, I'm just recapping last Thursday night. You're absolutely right. DT and I had a chance to just sit back with the rest of Bills Mafia, and that was an ass kicking, DT, and it was quick and it was fast, and it was a situation where Bills took control of the game so quick. You look at the stats for Josh Allen after the game and the offense, and it was really truncated because of the fact that we played on so many short fields, but they just got all over them. Another masterful performance by McDermott and that defense. I mean, he is something about Miami. I don't know what it is, man, but he's got their number, and he's all over Tua. He's all over that scheme. And as great as Mike McDaniel is, and I like him as an offensive coordinator and as a play caller, he's got no answers for McDermott's D. I mean, injuries, none of that shit even matters. It's crazy.
They don't matter. The magnum opus last year, I mean, all the memes of Josh Allen being the Dolphins' dad. And, I mean, Sean McDermott's got to get a little of that too. This guy's dominant against the Finns, and that was the last going back to when we broke the playoff drought, we had to beat the Finns on New Year's Eve that night to get in, Rob. So McDermott has had just as much success as 17, obviously, and the defense, outstanding work. I mean, I have some military friends, and they told me of a special operation they watched one time from a boat where this special Navy SEALs team went in, floated in at night and took out pirates off this big barge ship and didn't fire one shot and took down all the pirates and fire one shot. And last Thursday, I mean, reminded me of that story, Rob. We're the powerful special ops team. We can go in, take care of business, and not even fire a shot. So Sean McDermott's the Dolphins' daddy. Josh Allen's the Dolphins' daddy. Whoever the hell's playing on our defense is the Dolphins' daddy. Yeah. Love to beat the Finns 2-0. Gotta love it.
I mean, you have to love it. And, it's just awesome watching the Bills get down like that. And the funny thing is, Terrell Bernard goes down and, we're texting each other and, we're in the group chat with all of our tailgate buddies and we're what is going on? And, it's just the next man up thing is, I know it's cliche and I know everybody talks about it all the time, but it's a situation where something about McDermott in that defense, whether it's secondary and Jamarcus Ingram, Cam Lewis, who's playing lights out in replacing Taron Johnson at the nickel spot, it doesn't matter. I mean, even, Bale Inspector is Bale Inspector, and, he's going to have his ups and downs and different things like that. But Dorian Williams is looking like the game is finally, slowing down, like he's actually processing things and not running like a chicken with his head cut off. Sean McDermott plays all the right notes, man, on that defense, and especially when it comes to Miami. And I mean, 10 points for that potent offense, even before Tua got hurt. I mean, it was just a situation where it was just not even close, and they just got after him right from the get-go. And it was, I know that Tua had that overthrow to start the interception with Benford, but even after that, it was just we were all over him, man. Even the front line was playing well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of kind of the Sean McDermott defense. When you see kind of weakness in one spot, another spot kind of pulls through and helps you out. And, when Terrell Bernard goes down, how are these linebackers going to cover across the middle? And the defensive line came up and played great. They finally were getting pressure up the middle with Oliver and Day. And Von Miller looked as of old. I mean, fast forward to when Skylar Thompson comes in, it's that fourth down when they're going down like in goal or whatever, or at the 15. And Von Miller just ran right around 73, the left tackle there. He had a rough night anyway, but that's what you like to see from a team that you have a big question in one department, and then the other department steps up and makes it happen. And get the Bulls up, baby. How about UB, DBU, DBU? Are they calling it DBU, Rob? I mean,
yo, man,
UB Bulls, let's go.
He said DBU. I love
it. The Bulls, UB, DBU.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Lewis, Jamarcus Ingram, it's crazy.
Saw the stat today. The Bills defensive backs have allowed 0 completions over 15 yards and have 2 interceptions. They have more interceptions than completions over 15 yards. So they're locking down the no-fly zone deep in that zone, the double high safety, whatever the NFL is bitching about. You see Mel Kiper this week saying high safety should be banned or whatever the case is. Well, you're going to have to keep it under this defense because and with the pressure up front and nothing in the middle, let's go. DBU, great showing from the defense all the way around.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was listening to GR this morning, and they brought up a good point. Jeremy did. Jeremy White, that McDermott's been doing this though. He's been that, even with Leslie Frazier calling the plays, it's always been that bend but don't break. They want to force those defenses, those offenses to make those methodical long drives down the field. We're not going to give anything up over the top, and it's just been working. He's been at the forefront of that. Now I know he didn't come up with nickel, but the Bills were one of the teams, the first teams that played base nickel. They're not going to bring 3 linebackers out there. They're not going to be slow on the field. They're going to be fast, quick. You remember back to Tremaine Edmonds and Milano. They're going to be quick on those linebackers. They're going to put 2 of them on the field and then just play coverage behind. And it's been working. They have been at the forefront of that for many years now. And when you had those safeties and those luxuries of Hyde and Poyer back there, it made things a lot easier. But I mean, even the safeties now look good because of the fact that they're just flying around the ball. And I think it all starts with the pass rush, like you talked about. Von Miller coming back in, Rousseau having a great year to start off. And it's just a situation where if those guys are motoring and you've got 4 guys up front, DT, shit, the Giants won Super Bowls off of just that package, man. If you've got 4 guys that can get after the quarterback and play some decent coverage behind them, it's going to be tough sledding to beat this defense because they seem stout.
It all hasn't been in one game, Rob, but every kind of key, chess piece of this defense has stepped up and made a play this year so far. So that's just got to keep coming together and putting it together as one to come into that midseason form and be, a top 10 defense that Sean McDermott is used to having, right? I mean, it's nothing new. We say kind of ahead of the curve, and Mel Kiper wasn't bitching about the 2 high safeties before, when it was just the Bills playing this type of D too. So ahead of the curve, it's going to be kind of in that situation and have that confidence of, that's where a lot of our questions were this year and kind of being like, okay, we don't have to answer it. It's just kind of be whoever's out there can make plays. Can't guarantee that,
I don't know how long we can get away with that shit.
Put some of these inexperienced guys on tape, that might be a different story, down the line when you're facing some, some top tier quarterbacks down late in the season, and it's the NFL and our schedule is, So it's going to be a test. We haven't won anything yet, but it's nice to see after week 2 that everybody's kind of stepping in and doing their job, and they're looking like the Bills defense as normal.
Yeah, they are. They absolutely are. As we switch sides of the ball before we get done with this game, it was interesting because the way that he's your boy. I mean, and you've been on his train for a long time, but that boy Jimmy Cooks was just cooking and he was in the kitchen and he had all the different seasonings out. He had everything ready to go, and he was really out there just chefing up. I mean, 3 touchdowns in the first half. It was, two rushing, one receiving. The Josh one was on a 4th down play. I love the fact that they went for it on 4th down. Great call. I saw like a write-up, not a write-up, but a mock-up from or I think it was Orlovsky or Emmanuel Acho, and he was just talking about how like that scheme that Brady had on that play was perfect, and it was the fake routes up top to rub them off, and then Cook leaking out the back. It was just perfectly designed. Your boy Jimmy Cooks, you call him, and I mean he's explosive, and if the offensive line is going to block like that, and they're going to create those types of big holes and get those double teams and get to that second level. I mean, he's dangerous. I mean, he reminds me a little bit of CJ Spiller. He's not as fast as CJ or anything like that, but he's just got that quick ability where, I mean, he just needs a little bit of a crack, and he's going to be out.
Hey, kudos to Foreman. But hey, in both weeks of him being very productive player for the team, hasn't got really within 20 yards of 100 yards from rushing, right? I mean, they had it all purpose and the 3 touchdowns had a hell of a fantasy day. Thank you very much. But, Ford looking good. That nice long run he busted. Looks like he was on a jog in Delaware Park, Rob, just kind of working up the sideline, outrunning Poyer, front flipping into the end zone, and good to see. But that 4th down play, I'd like to, touch on again. The fact that we, went down, we're going for it on 4th down. Before the timeout, they were in the same set. Curtis Samuel comes around, gets in the same motion. They're in the same set. They call timeout. Okay, what are we going to do? We're going to kick the field goal. No, they come out and they do the exact same thing. So I like that confidence we're already seeing out of Brady early on in this season of we're running this play, 4th down, don't matter. We're not changing it up. We know we're going to get it. We're running it again. And that confidence to just shove it down your throat. It was Dable-esque with the layup of that, or even Andy Reid-esque, that type of motion play in and out, and the fact of we don't care, it's 4th down and long, maybe we kick a field goal and score for us. No, we know we're gonna get it. Screw you, let's run it back.
Yeah, I love that confidence. You're absolutely right, and that's that type of conviction that you need, and you're going to need it later in the year, and you want to put some certain things on tape for teams to kind of figure out, well, if they line up like this, they're going to do this, and then you can run different wrinkles off of it and things like that. So I think that it's definitely a good sign for Brady. It's funny, they talk about everybody eats. Everybody is kind of snacking right now. I stole that from Mike Schultz, like everybody's snacking and not really eating, and I'm like, that shit is pretty clever. I like that. Like everybody's snacking. And, Dalton Cade really hasn't been a big part of the offense. They did a lot of flare screens to him, different things like that. The one thing that I can't poke holes in, DT, and I mean, I'm the first one to admit it. I was worried about the receiver core, and I was worried about different things. They didn't need it on Sunday. They didn't need a lot of contributions from those guys, DT. And it was a situation where it was just everything because of the short fields that they were playing with and the turnovers that the defense was causing. It was just be efficient. Don't give the ball back to them. Be in a situation where you're running your offense and you're doing the right things. And then they had those splash plays with James Cook that you didn't need Josh Allen to put on the cape. You didn't need Josh Allen to do anything crazy. You didn't need a crazy performance out of any of the receivers. It was just methodical. And I think it was just a clean game. I love the fact that they played a clean game. They didn't give Miami anything and didn't give them any life. And I think that was one of the things that I appreciated the most about that game was that from start to finish, it was a clean game. I think it was one penalty, and it was just a situation where we weren't shooting ourselves in the foot.
What do good teams do, Rob? They win clean games like that, especially divisional games.
That's
what
true.
did the Patriots do for years? What did the Chiefs do every freaking week? Except, well, not necessarily because last week was was whatever. But you know what I mean. You take clean games. That's the only way to survive. It's the only way to be good in this league is you got to win those ones when the opportunity gives them to you. Because we know there's going to be not clean games, coming up. Yeah. So you gotta take them as it is. The 18-game schedules. These guys are beaten and battered in every aspect. You got to take it when you can get it. I mean, look at this as other than James Cook and some guys on defense, you're looking at week 1 coming in probably as fresh as you're going to be all year coming in.
That's right.
1, getting that win, going in, a little banged up. Obviously, Josh going in there with a glove and a lot of guys out, but still going in on a short week and then keeping completely clean and then going into 11-day rest. So they're on the roll to kind of get this started well, be right where they want to be. I think in in fatigue and whatnot, kind of coming in the best possible scenario going into this Monday night matchup. So, like where we are, definitely the drought will never let us be, content by any means. But this Bill team is showing like, yeah, there's questions, but we're still going to be damn good, and I like to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, before we transition to Monday Night Football, and I wanted to bring this up real quick. Shout out to the Mafia. Shout out to Nickel City Crew. Over 500 people watching DT on Nickel City Crew After Dark. When I was growing up, DT people would say that I sounded.
Jets and Pats. They don't want the Jets and Pats.
Yeah. When I was growing up,
you.
people would say, "Oh,
Thank
you sound
fans.
like you sound like that dude off of the late night, the Quiet Storm." You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? Now I'm like, oh man, the Al Woods guy. So yeah. So thanks for joining us tonight on Nickel City Crew After Dark. We had to get a little bit of a late start tonight, and so I'm really appreciative of DT's time, and I appreciate you guys joining in. Tonight's show, like all of our episodes, are presented by 26 Shirts. Again, head on over to 26shirts.com, Bills Mafia, Nickel City Crew, for all of your latest Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Sabres, and Buffalo City themed t-shirts and designs. Listen, a portion of the proceeds are going to go to a good cause. You can definitely screw off some money in a much worse way than giving it to some families that are going to be in need. They are in Western New York. They're across the world, and they've got great content creators coming up with these shirts. Head on over to 26shirts.com, support them. And you won't be sorry that you did, because they really do have some cool concepts. DT, before we get to Monday Night Football, I wanted your opinion on it. And I know I can respect what Mike McDaniel was saying after the game and the day after about how, his opinion to Tua can only hurt him and different things like that. And then obviously everybody had their own opinion. I can only speak from a father's standpoint. I'm a dad, and I know what I would feel like if it was my son and I wouldn't want him to play football anymore, because it just wouldn't be worth it. And that's regardless of the money. That's regardless of the guaranteed money and the different things like that. I know that we're talking about contracts and what happens if Tua retires and how much money does he have to give back and all this other type of stuff. He's wealthy beyond his wildest dreams. He's got, generational wealth now for him and his kids after he signed to that contract, and even grandkids are covered. It was tough to watch. I didn't actually see the hit, and then I was actually giving my youngest Quincy a bath, and then I came back downstairs, and Nate was like, "Man, Tua's out, Tua's down," and then I saw the replay, and I was like, "Oh," and I saw the fencing, type of thing. I don't know what's your thought on it, because I quickly thought that he's not going to retire. I thought that like literally the next day. I'm like, well, he's not going to probably retire, because he doesn't want that to be his last performance. He loves football, clearly, because he's had all these concussions and he still goes back out there. He's a gamer, and you hear that he's a great guy. What would be your advice if you were in his inner circle? Because I only have the position of a dad, and when I saw him, I'm like, damn, if that was my kid, I wouldn't want him to play anymore. But I don't think he's going to quit. I really don't.
I don't think he's going to quit either, Rob.
I don't.
Again,
they said that he doesn't have plans to.
His decision, or maybe it's not his decision at the end of the day.Maybe it literally just never gets to a point where it's medically, cleared. And then
but that's hard,
though. Questions, answers. True. So a couple ways I look at it, Rob. I mean, you're looking at, if he does come back and play, it's going to happen again. Like it's inevitable. I mean, maybe hopefully not.
I mean, hopefully not.
Level, but he's gonna take a hit again. Like it's there's no way around.
It's football. It's football.
It's the NFL. I also think these guys are different. In the head, if they're playing this game in the first place.
Absolutely.
They're not. It's easy for us to kind of sit here and look at it and say, or even a family outside looking at it, but being inside those lines.
You got to be a little crazy. You got to be a little crazy.
And so maybe that's not even in his head. Like I'm prepared to die out here. Things like of that nature are going through some of these guys' heads, right? So it's tough to see. Nobody ever wants to see that, especially when your team are playing after the DeMar Hamlin situation and any major injury. It always really.
It was DeMar that tackled him, which made it kind of like weird.
That was weird. Crazy. But I don't think he's going to quit, because he is a little different and loud, a little different, and doesn't want to go out like that or whatever they want to say. But it's inevitable that it's going to happen again, and that's just something. Obviously, he knew going into it, and it happened again. So. It's tough to watch.
He's got to learn to slide, man. He's got to learn to slide. He did not need to go head first on that shit,
But they were talking about on GR this week. It's like the game is too competitive. It's too much at stake. It's too much money around. Like
I heard that
there's
too.
going to be a time in the fourth quarter, the game on the line, and you gotta get it. You gotta put your head out and get it.
That's
and
really true.
you know
That's true. That's a good point.
That's going to happen. And he's not just going to slide just to slide. Like he's going to get. He's a competitor. He's going to make that move. So.
You're right.
If it happens again, I just hope it's not, against the Bills. But I can only hope and pray for the best for him. And but I don't think he's quitting, Rob.
I think it came out a couple days right after that. He's he was already getting ready to talk to neurologists and different things like that to try to see when he can come back and different things like that. So we'll see. Yes, you're absolutely right. Prayers for him and his family and whatever he wants to do. It's his life. You know what I mean? It's his career. Nobody can tell him what to do, obviously. Other than, literally doctors or something like that would not be able to clear him. But if he gets cleared, I think he's going to get back out there. Maybe throw a guardian cap on him or something like that and maybe just hope for the best in that respect. Now, as we transition to Monday Night Football, DT, I know that you're excited because I'm excited as well. I know Bills Mafia is excited. Primetime under the lights. We've got back-to-back primetime games. What is that, 3 straight primetime games? Monday Night Football, Jacksonville coming to town. It's funny because when I look at Jacksonville, I was just like, DT, I'm like, these guys they cannot get their shit together. Like they are all a mess. Trevor Lawrence this week says after the game last Sunday that, we flat out suck right now and all this other stuff. And they're just having a tough time getting anything going. Both games they could have won. If you really want to be honest, both of their games they could have won. And then including last week against Cleveland, where it just seemed like they were stuck in the mud all game. DT, it's always these types of opponents that come in. We already know Jacksonville has our number, so we don't want to overlook them in that respect. But I expect Buffalo. I really hope. How about this? I hope Buffalo comes out with the same mentality they did against Miami and handle business early, because I think that if you jump on this Jaguars team because of all the different things and all the problems that they have offensively right now, it could just the night could get long for them in a hurry, and they kind of become disinterested in that respect. Not that they'll quit or anything like that, because they do have a great defense, but their offense has just been so out of sorts where you jump up 14 points first half, you might not get their best effort second half.
Coming in 0-2, I mean, you're looking at the Mafia going to be pumped up. The Mafia that had question all summer, the Mafia that maybe wasn't as hyped up, they're back hyped up again. It's going to take long. And it's going to be a nice night Monday, an early game. The train's still rolling. It's going to be a tough environment to come in and get one. And they do have our number, Rob, but they got our number pretty much everywhere but Buffalo, right? You go to London and you go to Jacksonville. And I don't think we talk about the Jacksonville. Like, I don't think we should like this team at all as the Mafia. All right,
speak on.
I don't think we should. Like, this is a situation to, we got to take care of these guys. Literally, screw the Jaguars, man. Now, I am when the drought breaks. Tyrod Taylor goes down there and we score 3 points.
I was there.
You were there. Yeah. 17 years we waited.
Yeah.
And we go down in that first, you were there. I was telling the story at work today about like that day I'll never forget, and how loaded I got getting ready for this game. Like it was incredible. Like there was just so much emotion I didn't know how to handle it, and you go in and it's 3 points in a playoff game. I got a video that I probably should delete about after the game about saying some wild shit about Rick Dennison and this and how you can't score 3 points in a playoff game and all this stuff. And to go down there and 17 years we wait, and the first playoff game we get 3 points. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. And then the next game after that, Jalen Ramsey calls Josh Allen trash. They do beat him in Buffalo. Yes. Josh Allen has that throw that's like wild in the pocket, hucks it up to Robert Foster, I think, right?
Yes.
It was Robert Foster.
Like 6 to 7 yards.
They did get him there, but they were 4-10 that year, so it didn't matter. Then we go down to Jacksonville. I got
Urban Meyer.
Shout out Noah. Yeah, shout out Noah. And that crew. We had this trip planned for 6 months. We had this massive estate mansion down in Jacksonville. We were staying at Airbnb. Had this whole weekend planned. Can't wait. We get down there. It torrential downpours for 4 days. Doesn't stop raining. Our vacation is inside for 4 days in Florida. Doesn't stop raining. What do we do against the worst team in football in Urban Meyer? Go in there rolling with Josh Allen. And what did we score? 6 points? Didn't get a touchdown.
Yeah.
Get a touchdown. 2
Then they
field
beat us
goals.
9-6 or some shit, like something stupid.
Yeah, 9-6 to an Urban Meyer team that was the joke of the NFL.
Yeah,
And we
he's
go
running
down there
around
and
kicking
put 6.
kickers around and shit.
Yeah, and then we push into London. Hey, bro, we get some breakfast pizza.
Let's go,
We're all
bruv.
pumped up.
Yeah.
We can get a couple mimosas going. 9
Yep.
a.m.
I had breakfast. I had a spread for that game.
Quan
Yep.
Jones goes out. Milano goes out. We sleepwalk around the field. A frustrating BS loss.
Yeah, they beat us that day too. They beat us that day.
I hate the Jaguars. I hate the Jaguars.
I love it. It sounds so personal.
Brutal. It's brutal with this squad, man. And so this is what I say to this week. 17-0-1. 17-0-1.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. I mean, he does. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's just been some weird matchups. Like you just ran through them, and they're all. I remember the fight. Leonard Fournette wanted to fight. I can't remember who he was fighting, but we got kicked out of the game. It might have been out. Somebody was fighting Leonard Fournette when he was with them, and they got into a fight. And I think they beat us that day too. So it's just been a weird matchup with those guys. They do seem to have our number in that respect, but it's never like they're just outclassing us in that respect. They just make us look, completely bad for most of the part. London was a little bit different, but it's just a situation where I know that when you're 0-2, and I know the stats, and they talk about how when you're 0-2, you're teetering, where you're probably not going to make the playoffs. 0-3, it's pretty much fucking done. And the same thing like the Bills. I know back in '98 when they started 0-4, that's the only team ever or something like that ever made the playoffs 0-4. So, they've got the expanded playoffs now, want an extra seed, but like your season is kind of on the line on Monday night if you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, and everything can kind of go up in smoke. So sometimes that makes back against the wall, that makes the opponent fight harder and maybe fight a little bit dirty. So you got to be prepared for that. But I think if you jump out on them early, they do have a good defense, but if you jump out on them early, I think that you can kind of get them disinterested, like I said, towards the second half. So we'll see. What the offense looks like that night. I'm not exactly sure what the game plan is going to be because it seems like everybody's just running the too high, like we talked about, and then the scoring's down, and everybody's they're inviting offenses to run the ball right now, DT, at an alarming rate. The Bills are not even running it that well, but they're just running it because they're asking them to run it, so they are doing it, and they're kind of obliging because they have to. So it'll be an interesting game. I don't know if it's going to be up and down or anything like that, but I think that if the Bills can find a way to jump out early, DT, there could be some opportunities where you just get this team ready to hit the bus. They're ready to get back on the plane and go back to Jacksonville and figure out, what they're doing for the rest of the year, because your year is pretty much over after that point.
We got to hope so. No Gabe Davis revenge game.
No,
I don't care. I got E18 on all my fantasy teams. Screw this team. Get out there.
He likes the fumble anyway.
I mean, let's go. I mean, nice long game plan.
11 days off.
Yeah, and I think the Bills as well. Like, because I'm taking it personal. Josh Allen should be taking this personal. It's one of the only teams in the league that he hasn't embarrassed in one way or another. So, it's got to be a situation where we take this AFC opponent that thinks they're good, and is always in the mix and whatever. Our house, take care of it with some tough games coming up. Keep stacking these wins. I think we got to take it personal and like you said, get them disinterested early. Screw the Jaguars. Screw the Jaguars.
I like it. I like it a lot. Now, as we transition, DT, I named the episode the way that I did because you knew how I was feeling, coming into the season. I'm on record. Nickel City Crew knows 10-7. I just thought that there's just the schedules and the quarterbacks just too hard in respect to expect us a crazy 12 or 13 win season. DT, you take a stroll around the AFC. You bring up your standings right now and look around this conference, and we'll go division by division because it's a lot more interesting and a lot closer than I thought in respects to the way that these guys are grouping out right now. We know that the division should be ours, DT, to be honest. I know that it's early to claim it. I know that the Jets are up right now on the Patriots, but everybody's sitting at 1-1 besides the Bills. But Miami season is toast. I mean, Tua is going to be out for at least 4 weeks. They just put him on IR this week, and then who knows what he's like when he gets back. Skylar Thompson's not winning a whole bunch of games. I know they signed Tyler Huntley. New England looks like they're going to play good D. It looks like an old Bill Belichick team. They're going to play good D. They don't really have a quarterback, so they're going to try to keep games close, 17-13, 21-17. They're going to try to be in that wheelhouse all season long with Jacoby Brissett. Then you've got the Jets, who, they're the Jets, and we'll see if they can turn their season around in respects to living up to the hype and different things like that, but we don't see them for a couple weeks. So I'll know more about them in more weeks and just seeing if Rodgers can stay healthy, stay on the field, see what that offense is looking like. Are they still up 14-0 right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, still at 14-0. Okay. So we'll see. I still point is I still give the division to us. You go to the AFC North, DT. Pittsburgh is 2-0. Cleveland's 1-1. They just pick up their win over the hapless Jaguars last week, like I said, in a close game that really Jacksonville could have won. Baltimore and Cincy 0-2. Baltimore drops a horrible game last week to Oakland, to Vegas at home. I don't know how you let them win that game up 10, fourth quarter. It's inexplicable that you lose that game on your home opener. It made no sense how they let them happen. And then Cincinnati, they looked better. They played better, but you still didn't get the result. And we can bitch and moan about the refs, and they love Kansas City, but it was a pass interference. It was clear he was way early on that one, and they gift them the game. DT, I mean, that even the North looks different now. Like Pittsburgh's, they're frauds. They're not hanging around. Like that shit's not real.
And that's what you got to really look at. I mean,
that's not
that
real.
Broncos game, obviously, 3:30 has got Bronco blood in here. So I watched. Yeah. I had the split screen of the Bengals and the Broncos on the other TV because Zach actually went down. He goes to the home opener every year. So
okay,
I watched. Yeah, that was horrible to watch the Broncos Steelers. I mean, Steelers are literally just Iowa of the NFL. Same color scheme and everything. Just play good D, and your team might get you 13 points. So I don't think they're going to be able to withstand it. But obviously, Mike Tomlin's always going to get them close to that 500 mark, and that means beating the Ravens and the Bengals and some of these teams in their division. So yes, but I think eventually that quarterback, carousel, whatever's going on, they're going to have to play Russell Wilson eventually, and he's not going to do it again.
They promised him.
And so I think that's going to be their demise. Cincinnati, it's the broken record. Always start bad, get into a rhythm, get going.
Right.
T. Higgins is hurt. Jamar Chase is going to. That drama is going to be away. That drama is going to be away after a while, and they're going to start finding rhythm. I mean, I don't want the Ravens to win this week, but I also don't want to go see them at 0-3, in Baltimore in week 4 on Sunday Night Football. So,
true.
But so I'm not. I don't think we're getting away from chalk too much in there. If anything, the Browns have a good roster, but Deshaun Watson just looks like he ain't it anymore. He's all gone.
Yeah.
He's all gone. So
spraying the ball all over the field.
Go down, the Steelers stay respectful, and it becomes the race of the 1-1 and 0-2, Ravens back to the top. But you like that as Bills fans, obviously, as they have to do some climbing and dig out and might catch some cheap ones, and some straight bullets from the Browns or the Steelers in division play. So I think we're not getting away from chalk too much, but it has been interesting to see kind of how it's playing out already.
Yeah, I mean, and AFC South, Houston looks like, Houston, and their defense looks ferocious, and I really like them a lot. I've always liked that team in respects to D'Amico Ryans. I just like him as a coach, like the energy. I love players, coaches. I'm all about that. Rest of the division, 0-2. I mean, Will Levis doing stupid shit out there in Tennessee, coach on the sideline say, what the fuck are you doing?
Let's chill. I don't want to hear anybody else saying, oh, he looks like young Josh Allen. Like, Josh did some stupid shit, but he never did anything like that. Dude.
He
never did anything like that.
No.
Let's get that.
The worst thing you can say about Josh was Sugar High Josh back in, Houston, wild card. And he's pitching the ball to Dawson Knox or something crazy like that. But Josh has never even looked like that, ever. I mean,
I want to hear that. Everyone's saying that. Oh, he looks like young Josh Allen. Nah, Josh doesn't do shit like that.
Yeah, inexplicable. That attempted pitch. You're in the red zone, like it's not fourth down or anything like that. Like, it's not fourth quarter. I don't know what he's thinking. And he says he's got to rewire his brain. So we'll see if they could do that down there in Tennessee and Nashville. Jacksonville, we already talked about them. Indianapolis, I mean, Anthony Richardson, just, he looks like a rookie, you know what I mean? And he basically is. When he played a couple games last year and he looks like a rookie. He only had a handful of games at Florida. So he's going to be going through his growing pains. And then the West, I mean, Harbaugh, I'm a Michigan man, and like everybody should have known that he was going to bludgeon people. He picks, instead of picking Malik Neighbors, he picks Joe Alt. If that didn't just tell you exactly what the Chargers were going to be, then you weren't paying attention and you haven't watched Michigan football or Stanford football or San Francisco 49ers football back in the day. He's going to just pound the shit out of the rock. Like this too high shell shit does not bother him at all. He loves it because him and Roman can just go to work in respects to pounding that rock. J.K. Dobbins is obviously off to a great start for them. Obviously, the Chiefs, we know about them. They'll always be around. The bugaboo, get lucky, yada, yada, yada. And then you've got Vegas. at 1-1, and then Denver looks hapless. So, I mean, DT, I think that what the whole point is that this conference, everything's kind of on the table. That's why I named the episode the way that I did. We gotta have to recalibrate, figure out if we want to change our expectations. I know after Monday night will be a good opportunity to do that and to figure out, because you go to 3-0, getting ready to go face Baltimore. I mean, don't go to Baltimore and win, because then you won't be able to tell me shit. Like I promise you won't be able to tell me shit about the conference. I mean, Kansas City,
who's going to be at best 1-2 in that game, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, there's opportunity out there. You play all those teams that, you know, are the threat almost in chronological order. I mean, you got the Ravens, then the Texans, and then not so much the Chiefs. That's a little later, but you know, some tests obviously in between that. So you're going to have your shot. You're going to have your shot mano a mano with these squads. You know, the Texans, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. But at the same time, yeah, the Ravens go 0-3. Like you said, the playoff odds almost, you know, don't matter, even if it's a fake 0-3 or not. Playoff odds are the playoff odds, and they go extremely down, well below 50%.
Yeah.
I think Houston, you know, is riding that wave, and I don't want to be any part of Houston this year. I don't want to cheer for them. I don't want to like them. But if they weren't in the AFC, I would probably be like, this team's kind of cool, you know. So
their defense looks good, man.
CJ Stroud talked a lot this offseason. And he's backing it up so far. He's backing it up so far, and obviously everything with Diggs and all that. So it's a big situation in Houston. Do they have the caliber, you know, late in the season to get it done? Do they have the experience? They're super young. What's it going to be in those, you know, late, you know, December games when adversity's hitting them? But that's not when they play us. They play us, you know, in 2 weeks. So we gotta be ready to strap up, and it's not house money right now, Rob, but you know, definitely have opportunity to stack wins, and you know, 3-0, and then when you do go 4-0 against the Ravens, you're going into Houston at 4-0, already knocking off, you know, Baltimore, who would then be at worst or at best 1-3, and then going in, even if Houston is, you know, 4-0, you got the you got the matchup of 4-0 going into that. So all situations are on the table, and with an opportunity for the Bills we talk about reestablishing and maybe separating ourselves. We got a huge opportunity to go in there. If you go 5-0 and you beat the Ravens and the Texans, get a game up on all of them, and there's multiple losses with the Ravens, and at the very best, one loss for the Texans. You know, you're right. Then can't tell me shit.
Yeah, you can't. You can't tell me shit. Yeah, don't let that happen. Don't start off 4-0, because I definitely didn't see that coming in that respect. You know, I had a couple losses in there for sure by the time that happened. So it's just a pleasant surprise in that respect. Again, now, DT, as we begin to wrap up tonight, I wanted to get your thoughts on that. You had kind of alluded to it earlier. You know, what are your thoughts on this whole Mel Kiper's going crazy, and it's the talk all day on WGR, different things like that. You know, it's funny because I just don't remember that this, you know, when they talk about like taking it out of the game, like I know that a lot of it's just for media purposes, and they may not be that serious about it, but like, how could you tell somebody that they can't play defense a certain type of way unless scoring goes all the way down or something like that? Like, I could never see the league stepping in and trying to say you can't play a certain type of defense. To me, that sounds wonky. This is not baseball and the shift. I understand that NFL it's an entertainment product and stuff like that, and I know that everybody loves their fantasy football. It's not like the games are 10-3 right now or anything like that. I mean, they're still scoring some points. Yes, scoring is down. Yes, passing numbers are down. Obviously, we know that here in Bills Mafia with Josh. I mean, his stats don't look anything like they did a couple years ago. I think he had like over 700 yards, you know, 1 year after 2 games. So like everything is being suppressed because of the too high shell. I just don't want everybody to freak out and go crazy over it, because some of the rhetoric is like, man, the pendulum's swinging back, and like, we're not getting ready to turn around and hand the ball off to Emmitt Smith and to Thurman Thomas 30 times a game. I don't think that that's the way the NFL is working. I think that everybody's just freaking out just a little bit. Personally, that's me personally.
We're not even close to through September yet. You know, everybody's getting rolling. We're still getting dust off. These guys nobody plays in the preseason anymore. That's true. You know, this is basically the first go of it, and getting loose and understanding, and there's going to be injuries, and there's going to be breakups, and there's a lot of things yet to happen, and offenses are going to start figuring it out. Defense is really hard position to play nowadays, Rob. You know,
Sure.
it's stacked against you still. I mean, in all avenues. You look at the
Rules.
Chiefs and Bengals game, and towards the end, exactly, it's tough to play defense in this league, and these quarterbacks are too good. Eventually, they're going to start finding seams, and they're going to bust this thing open. The NFL's an entertainment business. They want scoring, but they don't want unlimited scoring because then it's not fun. You know, it's just it's gimmicky and it's arena football league-esque, right? It's got to be competitive. They want it in that happy medium, and if that's the pendulum swinging, the pendulum swinging. But the Bills were doing this before other teams were, like we said, a little ahead of the curve with it. Right. It is what it is, but these quarterbacks are too good, and they're gonna start making things happen as the year goes on. I'm not worried at all. I mean, we scored. We've been in the 30s.
Yeah. Oh, I know us. I know. I'm just, other fan bases and stuff like that. The rhetoric. If you heard like the national news today, it was like, they are literally, football's back in the Stone Age, and it was just so crazy to hear when Mel Kiper said that. I was like, what is he like? He knows football. What is he talking about? Like, outlaw the high two safety of Tampa 2. You can't outlaw in Tampa 2. Like, I can play defense how I want to play defense. That doesn't make any sense. So it was just interesting to hear some of that stuff, because people are freaking out, and I know that it's definitely fantasy driven and scores and stuff. We're watching the games just as much. The product is still entertaining to watch. I had a fucking blast at the home opener, didn't you? Like, and I had a blast on Thursday night watching the game. Like, so, what I mean? It's a situation where everybody could just kind of pump the brakes a little bit. We're not going back to the 80s. We're not going back to the late 90s where, it's Thurman Thomas. It's Curtis Martin running, 36 carries and all these other running backs. And quarterbacks are still running the league. And I think that the offensive coordinator, you talk about the quarterbacks are too talented. The offensive coordinator is going to figure something out. There are cover two beaters. You got to get those, what they taught, those honey hole shots. Dan Orlovsky always talks about. Those are the harder ones on the sidelines, but there's some seams. There's space behind those linebackers to get some routes in. So they'll figure it out. Like, it's not going back to the 1980s and 90s. I just couldn't see it.
And when I told about it earlier, James Cook hasn't been close to 100 yards rushing in both games this year. Like, it looks like he's dominant and he's out there, but he hasn't had 100 yards.
Have like 4 yards a carry. I mean, he's doing okay. We'll see. Now, as we begin to wrap up tonight, the Nickel City Crew Tailgate Report presented by Queen City Vintage. Check them out. At Queen_City_Vintage_716 on Instagram and Twitter. My boy Nick over there, DT's roommate, his boy over there, they're doing great things. Every time I see one of their things, like I said, every single time I see one of their Instagram posts, I get nostalgia. I love it. It always reminds me of growing up in the 90s. It always reminds me of, just gives me some type of wholesome feeling, like a warm hug. If you want a warm hug from the Buffalo Bills, head on over to Queen City Vintage. They're located on Elmwood Avenue, right there in the heart of the city. I mean, DT, they've got great stuff. They've got great prices, and they will tickle your nostalgic bone, man. They got some nice threads in there, man. I saw the post today and I was like, God damn, if I lived up there, I would be spending way too much time in that damn store.
It's fire. They got the fire, Rob, and pleasure to have them with the podcast. It's a great thing. We'll have some nice surprises this year. We're gonna be doing some giveaways to the listeners, so we're gonna be getting that going, and it's gonna be a good thing. And they're with the Queen now. Haley Steinfeld, they're with the Queen. So Nick was joking with me earlier, and he said that Godfather line, like, if you want something done, go right to the boss.
I love it.
Done, go right to the boss. So they got the Queen, and that's good stuff, man.
Yeah, Queen City Vintage. Check them out again. Queen City Vintage. You can check them out on Instagram and Twitter. Queen_City_Vintage_716. DT, Nickel City Crew Tailgate Report. As we wrap up, Smash Burgers. I got a story for you, DT. We were talking about the Blackstone. I got a Blackstone for my birthday. I was ready to go. I was fired up. It was like 7. It was like 7, in the 7 o'clock hour, a little bit after. I turn on Bill's pregame. I got that going on the speaker outside. I go and I put the propane in. Propane's full, ready to go. I put the propane in, and all of a sudden that it starts like leaking. I can hear it hissing, and I'm like, "What's going on?" So I'm like, something wrong with my propane. I run to the store, get a new propane, exchange it out like at the Wegmans equivalent down here at this place called Harris Teeter. I run, trade it out, get another one, come back. The motherfucker won't turn on. I'm like checking battery. I'm like, the igniter's nice little two big burner one, nice flat top. And it wouldn't work, man. So I still did the Smash Burgers. I still have a backup grill. Got my grill. I didn't do anything with it. I got to figure it out, DT, because when I tell you it was stressful because I got the kids here, I got everybody ready to eat. You know what I mean? Like Jody's like, we're all here ready to eat, and I'm like, the grill won't turn on. So I will try again on Sunday to figure out what the culprit was, what the problem was. I don't know if I have to get one of those long lighters and get under there and light. It's supposed to just be a button, push it, and then it comes on. I had it on high. I don't know what happened, but I thought of you for sure when I was running up to the grocery store to change out the propane, because I was like, I cannot believe this. I'm a professional tailgater. Like DT said, this is we're pros at this shit. I'm supposed to be already ready. I'm supposed to already have done this back checking, and I didn't. I was lazy and working and kids, and I never checked it before game day. And when I tell you I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, DT, I was running around all around my little town trying to get those damn burgers on the grill and ready to go. But we got it done. The boys, they love smash burgers, and we got the smash burgers done. I had the backup grill ready to go, so we got that done. But boy, that it was too close of a call for sure. We were all here just chilling, watching the game. We had a good time, and I know you and I were texting throughout. What was your tailgate report at 3:30 Linden? Oh, you actually did. You did something extra though.
Yeah, so that's one. That's got to be you got to troubleshoot that thing.
It was so stressful.
Get in there this weekend. Get under there with the wrench. Whatever you got to do, get that puppy back going.
You
know, for the rest.
I'll
of
be
the
ready
season.
for Monday.
Sunday,
I'm dedicated. I'll figure it out.
You know now. You won't throw that interception.
I had no preseason. I had no preseason, coach.
fresh flat top. So no, yeah, it was a beautiful night. I mean, it's been a great week of weather in Buffalo. Really since it was a little cooler on the home opener, and then since it's been warm and sunny every single day. So
cool.
we've had a good run there. But yeah, the Richardson Hotel down in Buff State used to be the insane asylum down there, so kind of creepy. But outside, big atmosphere, big situation out there. They had three huge projector screens, some music going, vendors. Queen City Vintage was there, and a few food trucks, everything in between. You could just bring your chair, bring your drink, bring your cooler, and just sit out there. And it was a nice kind of community vibe. It wasn't like the Chippewa block party. I still haven't got to one of those. Maybe we'll have to go down together to one of those one time. But it was a little just kind of chill community vibe, good stuff. Watched the first half there, and then got back at halftime to 3:30 and watched the rest here with some creative director Olivia.
Our creative director. I was just gonna give her a shout out.
She has to make sure we're good on game day, so she was on the clock, and then watched just the domination. It was good to have. I didn't get too after it. Had fun. Friday, I didn't win any most productive employee award, that's for sure. But we got it done. We showed face and got to enjoy the nice weekend and really enjoy some football and take it all in. So good night overall. The weather's been great. It was a night that I was kind of nervous about, and glad it went well and strong. Good. And it was, even though I was a little tired going in on Friday, it felt good, and shoulders and chin were up too well.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right about that. You hit that on the head for sure. It was an enjoyable night, and it was enjoyable for Bills Mafia and Nickel City Crew. I know that we all enjoyed watching that as well, to a side. So listen, I mean, I'm excited. Again, I wouldn't consider it a trap game. It's at home. It's an opponent. It's early in the year. You should have respect for all of your opponents early in the year, because as we saw, anything can happen. Nobody thought that the Patriots going to beat the Bengals week 1, and everybody loses their survivor pools and stuff like that. So, you can't count your chickens too early. So you got to be locked in, got to be ready to go. Monday Night Football. I mean, what else do you need? I mean, if you're a professional athlete, you're playing under the lights. Monday Night Football was the marquee primetime game once upon a time. And I mean, you got to be able to get up for that. So I expect it to be raucous. Are you headed out there? Are you not sure?
TBD.
Okay, TBD. We'll leave it. We've got next week.
I didn't think so, but as it gets closer, opportunities arise, and it might just be a why am I not going, right? So that's we'll see. We'll give you the full report next week.
I love you so much. Yes, I already know you, man. You're like, oh yeah, I need to be down there. Yep, you'll hit your ride. You'll figure something out. I'm absolutely sure. Well, enjoy it for sure. Nickel City Crew, Bills Mafia, we really appreciate you tonight. Almost 1,000 people, DT, on the late night. They like Nickel City Crew after dark. Okay.
The California listeners after work.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. We appreciate the support as always. As DT alluded to, I was going to give a shout out to our new creative director, Olivia Nagel. Again, I mean, she's hooking it up. You guys, I know Nickel City Crew, you have noticed. I know Bills Mafia, you guys have noticed that the content is just it's leaps and bounds. Like I have not done anything. We can let the cat out of the bag. DT does our promos every week. So when you hear the promos and stuff like that for the show that just released, that's DT. I don't know how to put music behind anything. I don't know how to really type on Instagram. I don't know how to do much of anything. I just learned how to go live on Instagram. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. So when I tell you that she's been a blessing to Nickel City Crew, she really has. Our creative director, again, shout out to Olivia Nagel. I mean, you guys see the content is up. She's putting questions up there, and I'm interacting with people on Facebook. I'm like, okay, this is how social media is supposed to work. This shit is really dope, but we really appreciate it for sure. We love engaging with the fans. So we appreciate you guys tonight, every night, and we appreciate you guys interacting with us throughout the week on social platforms. So again, subscribe to us, all the social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Check us out, subscribe, like it. We'll be here every Thursday. It might be at 6 as normal, and then sometimes we have to pull an audible, but we're flexible. We know our audibles. We're ready to run different routes. If we have to run some choice routes, we're good with that. So we really appreciate you all joining us tonight as well. DT, I'm good, man. If you good, man, the AFC looks different. I mean, I'm not. I was a little bit scared. I'm not as scared anymore. I'm a little bit I'm like, Kevin McAllister. After he got out under the bed, like he was like, I'm not afraid anymore. You know what I mean? Now, he did see Old Man Marley in a minute, and he almost shit his pants. But I mean, right now, I'm not afraid anymore. So I feel good about it, DT. I really do.
I'm with it. Like a trap game. We ain't doing no trap games Monday. We're going in, taking care of business. 17-0-1. We're ready to go 3-0. Nice little weekend ahead. I got to shout out Big Ben, Nanny K, Big Ben, and his cash high down in PA. 3-day football going down. I'll be DT's gonna be present tomorrow. I'm going down to catch the game. Support
He's
him
putting
tomorrow.
up some points down there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seeing what they're going at, and they got a big matchup against Anna K. School that she teaches at is who they're playing. So a little in-house rivalry, and
house divided.
They just came off a couple big schools. They played state ranked that they had some tough losses.
He told me that.
So
he told me that at the tailgate.
Going into Friday night. So I'll be there. Let's go see what the Cash Eagles can do down in Coney. I think I'm saying that Coney, PA. 3A ball.
3A ball. That's a big time PA ball. So we're gonna see. Yeah, absolutely right. Shout out to him. He's the OC down there calling the plays. He hits the ones and twos at the tailgate. That he's on there on that clipboard, figuring out hitting the ones and twos on those plays for those kids. So yeah, absolutely. Shout out for sure to the Cash Eagles down there for sure, man. Listen, Nickel City Crew. These are my Bills thoughts said out loud. Spread love out there, not hate. I mean, you might as well hit him with a Go Bills, DT. Hit him with a Go Bills.
3-0. Screw a trap game. Go Bills.
Go Bills. I love it. Oh, I love